At the beginning of time, after the expulsion from Eden, humanity took its first painful steps. Adam and Eve carried the weight of the mistake they had made and tried to rebuild their lives. It was in this new and uncertain world that the first two children of human history were born. Cain came into the world first, strong and determined, with his eyes fixed on the ground. Soon after, Abel was born, bringing a gentler presence and a heart turned toward God. They grew up together, but they were completely different in spirit and in life choices. Cain became a farmer, working the land with his own hands every day. Abel chose to shepherd sheep, caring for each animal with attention and deep affection. When the time for offerings came, each brought the fruit of his own labor. Cain harvested crops from the land and presented them to God as his personal offering. Abel chose the best animals from his flock, the firstborn, and offered them sincerely. Then something happened that would forever change the relationship between these two brothers. God looked with favor upon Abel's offering and recognized the sincerity of his heart. But Cain's offering did not receive the same regard, and this deeply troubled him. A flame of anger began to burn within Cain, consuming his thoughts day and night. His face hardened, his eyes darkened, and jealousy took over him completely. When the Lord saw Cain's troubled heart, he approached him as one would warn a child. He asked why anger dominated his chest and why his countenance was so downcast. He told him that if he did what was right, he would be accepted, but that sin was lurking at the door like a predator. It was a clear warning, a real opportunity for Cain to choose a different path in that moment. But Cain did not listen, or perhaps he did not want to hear what God was telling him. He went to Abel, his own brother, and called him to walk with him through the field. They went out together, side by side, with Abel unaware of any imminent danger. In that silent field, far from any witness, Cain made a decision that would shake all of history. The anger he had nurtured for days finally erupted in a devastating and irreversible act. Cain turned against Abel and took his brother's life with his own hands. The first murder in human history had occurred, and the silence of the field was deafening. Then the voice of God broke that silence with a question that echoed through all eternity. "Where is Abel, your brother, Cain?" The question was simple, but it carried an immense weight. Cain answered coldly, trying to hide what he had done with a brazen and cruel lie. He looked away and asked coldly if he was his brother's keeper, revealing hidden, bitter guilt. But God knew everything, and the divine voice rose with words of severe judgment. Abel's blood cried out from the ground, demanding justice and refusing to let the crime remain hidden. The land, stained by Cain's act, refused to bear fruit, cursing his work and effort forever. Cain was condemned to wander the world, without a home, without peace, without land to call his own. He would carry the mark of that day forever, visible to all who crossed his lonely path. The story of Cain and Abel reminds us that hatred destroys not only those it targets. In the end, Whoever gives in to envy and anger becomes a prisoner of their own choices forever.